Hi there, I'm Birgit O'Connor, and welcome to my studio. Now, I'm getting ready for a workshop tomorrow, and I needed a little bit of a distraction, so I thought I'm going to go ahead and give you just a few techniques and tips that I thought might be helpful for you. So I'm going to be looking at a reference photo, and I want to give you my thought process behind it as I break it down. That's something that you can easily apply to your own paintings. So let's get started and have a little fun. Now, when it comes to the reference photo, it really doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't need to be super crisp. I don't need to see all the details because I'm always thinking of shapes. What I'm going to be thinking about is, do I want to work each petal separately? Which I can do, and I have done plenty of that in the past. But when I teach a workshop, or even when I do my own paintings, I want my time to be efficient. And not only efficient, I want to keep the flower harmonious. Now, if we paint one petal at a time, one of the things that can easily happen is that you end up with overlapping edges and they can be really thick and crusty. So we want to avoid that. Now, the petals are light and creamy, and I could make them white. I can see I have a subtle shift in my values here, and this is a little darker over here. But again, I'm not really thinking about that. How can I cover the most amount of area in the shortest period of time? So basically, my idea is that I would wet the flower. I'm not going to worry about any of these areas back here. I'm going to tint the petals with my brushstroke, and that's why I want to use a blend or maybe even a synthetic brush, because I want to contain the brushstroke like right through here and over here and over here. You don't need to worry about it. I'm just telling you my process here. And this is a little more yellow in this area and that area. And I can come in and add a little color here right now as I start the painting, or I can always come back and do more later. I'm not thinking about the background or these areas. Now, some people like to start with the background, and depending on the subject matter, I might consider that. But here, the most important part is the flower and those stamens. Now remember, if your lines are thick and heavy, use a kneaded eraser and just lighten them up a little bit. We don't want a lot of graphite on the surface because otherwise you could lift up the graphite and it could smear. I'll bring a little puddle into the palette just like that. You can't really see it. And since white is the combination of all the different colors, I could use a little magenta, I could use a little green, whatever you like. Maybe let's go ahead and bring in a little cobalt or French ultramarine blue. That's kind of my go-to. I like that blue-gray combination that it makes. And that would be fine for these areas over here, but we have a little bit of a creamy color here. I could use my Hansa yellow medium, bring that in here. That might be too strong, but I could come and mix new color, but what I have in here should be just fine. So I took my Hansa yellow medium with my Winsor & Newton quinacridone magenta and made a soft color right through here. I'm using the Winsor & Newton French ultramarine blue and the burnt sienna. If I used the Daniel Smith color, it's going to get too black. So I'm going to suggest that you use the Winsor & Newton brand when it comes to these two colors. So I could even mix this in together. That's fine. I could even take a little bit of the magenta over here. I want it to be in a light value, so it's very see-through and watery. And that's really all I need to do right now. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you learned something new. And until next time, have fun and happy painting.